Hey, Sion, what's up?
Hey Felix, would you be interested in helping me with the upcoming exciting Switch games video for this month?
Sure, I mean, it should be pretty easy, though. There's not too many games coming out in summer.
You do know it's October, right? Felix? Hello? Felix, I can't believe it that there are 7 Disgaea games now.
7 Disgaea games, and only one of them is named Vows of the Virtualists.
Hey, that's a good point. And 7 is a great number. So Disgaea 7 is coming to Nintendo Switch on October 3rd. It's a turn-based strategy RPG, tactical with you got a grid out there. This is a pretty strange series. They always like to make like crazy jokes, and it's always taking things up to the next level. Like, you know how there's the guitar amp joke about like taking it up to 11. I can't believe I just explained that joke. That's what Disgaea does all the time.
This game takes it up to an 11.
But actually, Disgaea takes it up to 12.
Actually, it only takes it up to 7 because that's where they at in this series. Anyway, in this game, there's like 4 new classes. So there's a zombie maiden, there's a bandit, and then there's something called a big eye. Yeah, there's this new ability called jumbification, where a character turns into a 200-foot tall character.
I'm curious if that's going to be like something you can control, or if that's like a special ability. Because that is the thing, right? Is like the Disgaea games always seem to, they always like to do stuff bigger and better than the last time. So in this game, they're just making characters really big, which people are going to be very excited about, I suppose. But you were noticing in some of your research that it seems like this game is doing things kind of similar to Disgaea 6 still, where like 6 was kind of a big departure for the series art style wise. They did set like this.
Well, it looks like it's going a bit more back to the older games, but it's merging ideas from 6.
Okay.
So it's like kind of like a good blend of that. Now, I haven't played this game yet, so I don't frankly know exactly, but that's what I saw on the review, especially on our website.
But so it sounds like at least like that people that liked the original Disgaea games like will be can jump into this and know it's not taking like a Final Fantasy direction where they're like changing the gameplay drastically or something, right? It's still going to hold true to that.
Exactly. And Zion, what's this game even about?
So the story is supposed to follow 2 main characters, Fuji and Perilika. They join up after Perilika apparently like inherits a sword from her dad, which it turns out is a very important sword. It's one of the quote unquote founding weapons. So then those 2 characters then are supposed to embark on a quest to find 6 other weapons to join force. I don't know what I'm saying now anymore. My God.
So if that seems interesting, check out Disgaea 7, Vows of the Virtualists, coming out the 3rd of October.
But then also on the 3rd of October, we have another game kind of similar in genre. This is called Silent Hope. It kind of looks like a farming sim meets action RPG, which sounds a lot to me like Rune Factory. But you were bringing up an interesting thing to me earlier, is that the characters, none of them talk throughout this game because apparently their voices were stolen. So like, have you learned, are the characters going to have dialogue at all, or like,
I think that's like the twist of this game. You know, there's so many instances where you have this silent protagonist, but here it's actually part of the story, and the characters can only like interact with like, you know, if you're talking with someone in a different language, you can't really use your speech and stuff. And it's in the name, Silent Hope. You have this hope, but it's all silent. I think it's really unique.
You're right. It is an interesting thing that they're driving home with this game. I didn't realize that was the hook.
So you have this main land on like the surface, and then you dive into the abyss where the king went off to with all these voices.
Oh, the king stole the voices?
Yeah, the king stole the voices. That's why they don't have them. They have to get them back. And down here in the abyss, it's kind of like dungeons. They're divided into different layers with multiple floors, all that yada yada.
Oh, so
and
then you'll go back up. Yeah. Like to like
you
use
go
your
back
supplies.
up, and then you prepare for like your journey into this dungeon type thing where you fight monsters and stuff. And you play 7 different characters, and they all have different fighting styles. And none of them speak. And I think that's like, I don't know how. It's kind of fun to brand a game around like there's no dialogue, but it's so rare that you see them actually taking that into account, other than just being a character that only goes, yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's going to be cute to see how it plays out in the end.
Yeah.
Another cute game, though, is actually dropping on October 4th. This is called A Tiny Sticker Tale. This is from the makers of a game that came out last year on Switch called Lonesome Village. It has this really cute little fox protagonist, and I never got to play it. I wanted to, but yeah, now they're doing this new game, and it's supposed to be like a miniature adventure. It's going to be short and compact, and the goal is sort of to like it looks like it's going to take place in a storybook, and you can kind of pick up any object. It seemed maybe not any object, but a lot of different objects in the game, and you can use them as stickers to be like place them back in the world to solve puzzles. And like
this game looks amazing. It has like a short hike art style, at least with the characters, and
I totally see what you mean though. It has that charm,
and it's so cute. It's just I really like the idea of turning into something into a sticker. Now that doesn't mean I like Paper Mario sticker stuff. No, this just looks fun, you know. And yeah, it's short, it's sweet. You play as a donkey called Flynn, and you travel around on this island called Figori. So yeah, it's coming the 4th of October. Watch out.
Sweet. And then the day after, on October 5th, we're getting the sequel to Wargroove. Wargroove 2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's doing basically, it looks like the same Advance Wars grid-based style RPG combat, but with that medieval twist that you saw from the first Wargroove game.
Yeah.
But this game is actually, we've already reviewed it on the website. I don't think we're doing anything video-wise, just probably just this mentioned here, but we gave it a really high score. I was really happy to see.
And Sion, you played this at PAX East, right?
Yeah. That feels like it was a lifetime ago, so I don't really remember a whole lot of my time playing it, but I do remember at least enjoying it and having, it was good. It was good. But they are, one thing that I do remember them mentioning though, and even in our review we talk about this, but there are a ton of different campaigns set up for the game and a conquest mode, which kind of makes the game feel like a roguelike in the end.
But just in the conquest mode.
Correct. I believe so. Yeah. And basically though, this is, if you liked Wargroove, if you like tactical RPGs, this is just more Wargroove. This is just more groove, you know?
Yeah. But again, a day after, we have on the 6th of October, Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition. So Borderlands is coming to Switch after 4 years after its initial release.
Yeah, I can't believe this is actually coming to Switch and not in the form of a cloud version either, because this is a PlayStation 4, Xbox One game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no actual trailer for the game, so I don't know how good that is. But so right now you're just watching a trailer from when it first came out.
Which you're right. That doesn't really instill a whole lot of confidence. But you're right though.
The game is still, it got really good reviews when it came out, and it's coming to Switch. So yeah, in this game, it's a first-person shooter. You have tons of guns at your disposal. For example, you have a gun that can grow legs. So there's like multiple ways you can change up how you fight. Yeah,
and just like the past Borderlands game, still this will be an online co-op experience. You can do up to 4 players. It's not going to be like graphically it might be scaled down quite a bit in comparison to the other console versions, but it will still be the multiplayer Borderlands experience that people have grown to love over the years.
But unlike the past Borderlands games, this actually takes on beyond Pandora, which is like the planet it took place on. Now you go to new worlds and there's new biomes, and it just expands the horizon of Borderlands.
Yeah, and I believe all of the DLC that was released for other versions of Borderlands 3 are included in this, which is what makes it the ultimate edition of the game. I'm not sure if it's going to be every single piece of DLC ever made, but the bulk of the DLC will be there, and that's kind of what also makes the price a little bit higher at that $59.99 US price tag, at least. And then on that same day, Felix, we're gonna get some detective work done, aren't we?
Oh yeah, Detective Pikachu returns.
And I'm still not. So I played Detective Pikachu on 3DS back when it came out, and I got rid of it fairly quickly after I finished it up because it was just such it was such an easy game. And it appears from some of the hands-on previews that some other press have have come out and shared that it sounds like this game is going to be a kind of a similar kind of game where it's going to be a comfy, cozy point and click adventure game with an entry level that is good for kids, but doesn't really leave like enough there for adults to be excited about, which is a bit of a bummer.
But it's a direct sequel to the 3DS game. You play as Tim Goodman, who works alongside Detective Pikachu, and you try to solve these cases. They may not be the most hard cases, but let's say you want to get into the solving mystery type thing, but Ace Attorney is just a bit too hardcore, or there's too much text. This is maybe like a better entry, and if you can get past the visuals, well, you have maybe a pretty good game, because it looks like, at least from the hands-on previews, that everything is good just besides the visuals, which are unfortunately a bit lacking.
Yeah. I think you make a good point though too as well. Like if you have kids that are really into the Pokemon games and want to play something that just isn't a mainline Pokemon game, then maybe this is something that can broaden their horizons and get them interested in Phoenix Wright and Danganronpa and Doki Doki Literature Club as they age. We'll see what happens.
And this is probably gonna do better, have a wider audience, especially after the movie, which was a ginormous success. At least before, I didn't really know about it. Detective Pikachu, then the movie came out, I figured all that. So now this game is coming out, and it's actually, I know about this. This could be fun.
yeah, it could be all right. Speaking of games that look fairly sad and down in the dumps, there's a new game called Long Gone Days, which is coming out on Switch on October 10th. It sounds like you're going to play as a soldier who has been like shipped to a different region, or like is part of a different team now or something, and you end up like running away from the mission, it sounds like, and you end up kind of discovering some of the harsh truths about war. Like you're in like a different country, and so there's language barriers, and you grow close to your comrades, and some of them maybe you end up losing some of them throughout the journey. So it just looks like it's going to be a really heavy game. And you, Felix, you were saying that you really liked the art style of this game too, right?
I love the art style. I'm a real sucker for pixel art style, and this looks like it actually looks kind of unique in the pixel art style, because you have these like really long bodies and these really muted colors in a sense.
Yeah.
And I really like the language barrier, like how they intertwine that with the actual story, because so many games you just go to another country and they also just speak English or whatever it is. And
yeah, that's true. Where like here on screen, you'll go to read a poster or go to talk to somebody, and they'll speak a different language, and
they'll have trouble understanding you. Maybe there's like, what's this word? I don't understand that, and that's just really cool.
Yeah, like the gameplay itself might not be that interesting. It seems like it's a visual novel with like turn-based RPG elements scattered here and there. But you're right. Like the premise of the game and that language barrier sounds really, really cool. And this is being published by Serenity Forge, which are the people that have published Doki Doki Literature Club and a couple other pretty intense Switch games. So so look forward to that on October 10th.
But coming 3 days later are 3 games. It's the Batman Arkham Trilogy, but if you just want one of the games, maybe you've played one of them and you want to move on to the second one on Switch, well, you can do that. You can get Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, or Arkham Knight separately, or in this awesome bundle with all the DLC included.
City has been on my list of games to play for years. I played Arkham Asylum like right when it came out and loved it to death. And then City like goes more open world, and I think maybe I like was feeling too overwhelmed by it at the time, but I keep hearing like you said about the DLC, I keep hearing good things about it. So I maybe this will finally be the time. But I think I still have it on. Oh no, I have the Wii U version of Batman Arkham City.
Oh really? That's so cool. I actually have all these 3 games but on PlayStation, and I've just not played them yet, but I've heard so many great things, and having this on the go, if it runs well, which I presume it does, since they are pretty, like, they are older games, they are, it's a really, I love a good big single player experience on the Switch, kind of like with The Witcher. Even though it looks worse, it's just so nice to have on the go.
I think the only one that I'm really worried about is Arkham Knight, since that was a PS4, Xbox One game, and the other two are PS3 titles. Hopefully they made the transition okay. But you were pointing out actually that the games in total, like the download, will be 53 gigabytes if you decide to download all of them. So that sounds pretty massive. So it sounds like they're going to be pretty, beefy versions of the games. But one thing we also noticed too is that if you buy the physical version of the game, you only get Arkham Asylum on the cartridge. And the other two games, it's not that they're a download code. They're kind of like attached to the cartridge. So you have to download the games as like an update file, and then you can only play them with the cartridge inserted. So it's kind of like a security thing, I guess. But just know that you only get the one game really on the cartridge, which is a bit of a bummer. But these are great games. The combat is so rhythmic and powerful, and I hate to say it, but it makes you really feel like Batman. And the detective sequences are a lot of fun too. Like, the unique aspect of this series really is that you get to actually like roam around the crime scenes and use Batman's gadgets like he would in the movies or in the comic books. And it's just a lot of fun. These games are great.
Well, you know what also is great? Well, you know about it, Sion, because you've played it. It's Sonic Superstars.
I have gotten to play it twice. You're right. And Sonic Superstars, comes out on October 17th, which is kind of scary when you consider another platformer that's coming out this month.
That's Sion. How was it?
It was good. As a Sonic fan, as somebody who's played the majority of Sonic games out there, I had a lot of fun with this. It's a really beautiful, bright and colorful game, and they really took a lot of the elements from the original Sonic generation from the Genesis and incorporated it here. And the emerald effects are kind of whatever. There's one of them that lets you ascend through water, kind of like in Tears of the Kingdom, or I guess which is through ceilings or whatever. It just there's some funny little elements in there. But one thing that I haven't really gotten to talk about much yet is the multiplayer. I got to go hands-on with 2-player co-op in the game. And the big problem with a game like this versus a Mario game is Sonic games, they move so fast. The point is just to get to the level as quick as you can, or get through the level as quick as you can, where it's hard to keep 2 characters or even 4 characters on screen at a time. So one character, if one person dashes off, the other person will disappear and the camera will only follow one character. So you kind of I don't know. I'm not here to give the review on the game yet, but I think the multiplayer is going to be the interesting thing, where I think the single player experience is a lot of fun, but the multiplayer stuff is just kind of, I think some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it. So we'll see what happens, but I am excited.
I mean, it's a fresh new look for the 2D Sonic platform, and you're battling against, you might have guessed, the Dr. Eggman, but he's teamed up with Fang, and he's doing bad stuff.
So bad.
That's just new catchphrase. Yeah, so to play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, and maybe don't do it in co-op when it releases on Switch, October 17th.
And then 2 days after, we're getting the big, bad, dark, and scary Gargoyles Remastered Edition. My mom loves this show. She used to talk about it all the time when I was a kid.
Really?
And I didn't really watch it a whole lot, but it seems like there's a big cult following for this. Did you ever have Gargoyles, or have you seen much about it yourself?
I must admit, I have never heard of this.
Okay, I mean, it might just be that it's one of those things that's really stuck in the 90s, or just kids that have nostalgia for it, so that.
Well, I've heard of the game when it got announced, but I had not heard of it before. So it might be, but it does look big and bad and potentially fun.
Yeah, I was reading on Wikipedia of all sources. I was reading on there that when the game first launched in 1995 on the Genesis, that it reviewed pretty well. People seemed to like it. And you were mentioning to me earlier that this version is going to be. It's going to have the original Sega Genesis version, but then also they're completely remastering the games, and you can flip a switch basically and switch to the remaster, right? And it'll be all hand drawn.
That's how all remasters of old games should do it. That's such a cool way. But it looks like it's been hand drawn in this remaster, and not only that, they're also remastering the soundtrack. So this is a proper good remaster. And if you played the game, or like me, haven't really heard about it and want to get into it, well, now is as good time as any when it releases one day before the big one.
Oh yeah, that's right. The big game. I wonder what that could be, Felix.
Ah, it's the big game. It's Super Mario Bros. Wonder, coming out the 20th of October.
This game looks so nice, Felix. I know that you're a new Super Mario Bros. Kid, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but I know it's so cool that we're getting this new direction for Mario Bros, man.
I might be a new Super Mario Bros. Kid, but I can see advancement and improvement in graphics when I see it. And this is such a big step up. Even though I played all those games as a kid, I was getting a bit burned out by the way the series was going. And we haven't really had a new game in 11 years. That is madness.
That's insane that it's been so long.
We have, I think, because it came to Switch with the deluxe version of New Super Mario Bros. U, it felt like shorter, and we also had, Mario Maker, but like a proper Mario Bros. Yeah, it's been 11 years, and we have 12 playable characters. We have all these new worlds. We have so many weird power-ups. We have the Wonder Seed effects. It just looks like they finally doing new stuff with this. They're really getting creative, and they didn't have, when they were making this game, they didn't have like a deadline for the prototype phase. So they could just come up with all these crazy ideas, and it just shows. It's just shining through with all these brilliant animations. They actually have like facial expressions and stuff that are just so pretty when they run and put the hands up when they jump. It's and you have badges, you have Sion, take over.
Wait, it's you bring up a good point though about like how much time they had to make this game, and I know time can be a scary thing when goals can get obstructed, or like views can change and things like that, in development studios, and you can get stuck in limbo when you're trying to make a game. But it's nice when you also, unlike what the Pokemon company's doing right now, where like every year we're getting a Pokemon game or getting major DLC or something, where finally Mario Bros. Wonder, is sticking to the core Mario formula, but it really does feel so fresh and original when you look at what Mario has done over the past 10 or 15 years. And so for that, I can see like everything you said is valid. It makes sense. And I'm so excited for this too. I'm so glad that you don't jump on each other anymore, and you can play Daisy in the story mode. Like, it's just it's so cool. So I'm really excited.
I think we all are when this game releases very soon, the 20th of October. Wahoo!
But for those of you that like to sneak around in the dark instead, or in the mud, or in the cold winters, you could play the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 when that releases on Switch on October 24th. Alex actually got to go hands-on with this already, and I know he had mixed feelings about it. But I'd just like to say I'm just glad that we're going to be able to have all 7 or 5 of these games, because the 5 are the ones that really count. I'm glad that we're going to be able to have those on Switch. Because there are a lot of people like I've only played Metal Gear Solid 1 on PS1, and that was years ago. That might have been when like Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, and I was like, I'm gonna play the Metal Gear games now. And then I played 1, and I started 2, and then I fell off very quickly. But yeah, with this package you get Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 from the PlayStation 1 and PS2. And then you also get the MSX versions of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, which were the ones that Kojima worked on. And then you're also getting the NES ones, which is like Metal Gear and Snake's Revenge, which we didn't include those in the number of this list because they don't count. Just don't even, it's nice that they're there, but you don't have to play them. You can just kind of look at them like a picture,
But Sion, if I just want to play Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, how do I do that? Do I need to get the whole collection?
Very good question, consumer Felix. You can actually just buy the game individually as well. I think they're going to be, in the US, they retail for $20 a piece digitally, or you can get all of them together for $60. So, because it seems like the MSX versions and then the NES ones are all kind of like in their own separate package, and we don't know if you're gonna have to buy them separately, or if we don't know if you can buy them separately, or if they only come with the big bundle. I don't know. We don't really make sense of it yet, but it's great. It's going to be cool to have these finally on Switch, because most of these games are PlayStation 2 and prior. So we don't have to worry about them, like, I don't know, graphically, like failing. You know, they might run at a lower frame rate here, but it should be the full Metal Gear package. Then we have Dave the Diver on October 26th.
This game looks really, really cool. It has a really unique twist. So one might think that you're just out diving and you have to catch fish and then, oh, that's cool. But you also have a sushi restaurant. So all these fish and stuff you're collecting in the ocean, you're actually using that to make sushi for your restaurant. And then the profits from the restaurant you use to get better gear so you can go out and dive to get deeper. And it's a really nice gameplay loop.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Beautiful pixel art style, loads of characters to interact with.
It gives me like classic like Monkey Island like pixel art style like graphics, and I wonder if the jokes are going to be like reminiscent of stuff like of that era as well. And I know you really liked the new Monkey Island, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I'm putting that too high up on a, maybe I'm expecting too much from Dave the Diver, but I don't know. I could see it going in places like that, being the silly game that it is.
But yeah, I really like when they take a nice twist on a well-known formula. Like, you have a restaurant, you go out diving. No, just mix the two and it makes perfect sense. So watch out for Dave as he dives onto the Switch October 26th.
But what if he trips? What if he trips and falls into a world called Trip World DX?
I wonder what happens then, Sion.
So there's this little game called Trip World, which I learned about recently. It came out only in Europe and Japan on the original Game Boy, and it's super expensive. Like, to buy a complete in-box copy, depending on which region you want, could cost anywhere from like $400 to like $1,000 or maybe even more US. But now Limited Run Games is teaming up with Sunsoft, I believe were the original developers, to bring this game to the West officially. And they're like doing it in full color now as well, which is the DX version of the game. And it looks just kind of like a cute little Kirby-like platformer where you can like transform into different you can shapeshift or something like that, or transform yourself into like different characters and give your, or not different characters, but like you can get new abilities based on your form. I'm just it's, the Game Boy doesn't have a whole lot of like great platformers, and it seems like this is one that is held in very high regard. So I'm excited to see this actually come to the West in color. And they're actually doing an official like a Game Boy Color cartridge as well that you can buy and play it on your original Game Boy or Game Boy Advance.
Really? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
because they've done a really good job with the recoloring on this one. And
it looks nice, doesn't it?
It's really nice when they bring games over that didn't really come over other places and then, put a bit of extra work into them. It's not just, it's now releasing. No, we're putting like some effort in. We're doing an actual Game Boy cartridge version, and we are having, full-blown color. I love to see it, and more games that were left in the dust should have that treatment.
Yeah. I think they're working with the original artists as well to get the colors just right. And there's a bunch of like concept art like added into the game. There's a sort of like museum section, which they seem to be advertising that a lot and talking about that element that they put a lot of effort into. And this seems like a release to be celebrated, but we'll see come October 26th.
Oh, Sion, that was all the 20 games.
Felix, remember when you said, do we want to make this list 20? And I went, yeah, let's do it.
There are just so many games coming out, and this is the longest exciting games list we've ever done on the channel. And it's just because October is just so freaking stacked. If you like this video, don't forget to get overwhelmed by that subscribe button and then give it a little click, just because maybe that'll un-overwhelm you.
And don't forget to let us know in the comments down below what game you're going to play from this month, or what games. We all know it's probably Super Mario Bros. Wonder, but is there another game that you want to play this month? Let us know.
But yeah, that was everything from us. Stay safe, play some video games in October, and we'll see you in the next one. Felix and Sion from Nintendo Life, out.
I hope it timed up okay.